Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the second installment of the TASKE Technology webinar series. My name is Chad Arlington, and I'll be taking you through the presentation today, along with my colleague Jason McDonald, who will actually be able to show you a live demonstration of the application in action in a live contact center. So we do use GoToWebinar as the forum for questions. Everybody is in listen-only mode, so if you do have any questions and you're unfamiliar with it, you can simply click on the chat box to submit any questions, and we're going to leave some time at the end to answer those for you. If you do want to minimize that GoToMeeting screen, you can just simply click that orange arrow, and that will get it out of the foreground for you. If some of your colleagues weren't able to attend or you wanted to forward this presentation to anyone else, we will be recording it and sending out a link in the next couple of days. So our previous slide, our previous installment covered TASKE Desktop, which focused on real-time statistics on the agent PC, and today's concentration will be on TASKE's large screen display application, which is called DisplayCentral. So DisplayCentral allows for sub-second real-time statistics to be pushed to a large screen display like an LCD television or a projector type environment. It allows you to easily design a video screen that presents a centralized view of real-time agent and queue statistics, personalized messages, and much more, which we'll cover today for you. So some of the areas that we'll be demonstrating will be how to create a display template, save a template, choose the actual content you'd like to display, as well as customizing any alert thresholds that you'd like to enable as well. So I think you'll find that DisplayCentral is a very user-friendly application and flexible application as well. So along with the real-time agent and queue stats, you also have the ability to post things like on-the-fly messages. You can bring an image into your display. You can create scrolling ticker tapes and adjust the speed and color coding. Bring in the current date and time, RSS feeds, bring web pages in, as well as a sequencer, which allows you to see multiple queues in succession as well. So just to give you a brief high-level overview of where DisplayCentral sits on the network and the TASKE network, it's pretty straightforward. The requirement would be a laptop connected to a flat-screen television or a projector. You do have the ability to connect multiple screens to multiple monitors if you wanted to create some large-type video wall, which we have a lot of customers do today. So all the templates that are created are stored directly on the TASKE server, like if you have desktop or any of your supervisory licenses, where you can access them and modify them by whoever is administering the DisplayCentral application. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jason McDonald, who's going to bring you into a live demonstration of the product, show you how to create a template from scratch, and discuss all the different various applications within DisplayCentral. So thanks again for joining, and I'll turn it over to Jason.
Great. Thanks a lot, Chad. So I'll quickly take you through the DisplayCentral Designer application. We use this tool to create the template in which your data will be displayed. You'll be able to just see how flexible and customizable the DisplayCentral app really is. Most of all, though, how easy it is to set up a display in just a matter of minutes. So I've opened up the DisplayCentral Designer here, and really the first thing to do is just simply right-click within the window, and what we're going to want to do is set up some rows. We'll divide up the screen, and it's really just as simple as right-clicking and then dragging. Make some rows, and then within these rows, we're going to add some columns to them. We'll divide up the screen, and each one of these little cells or windows that I'm creating is going to contain a different component to DisplayCentral, so you can see the various components that we have available for you. So we'll put some more columns in this one as well. Again, just as simple as right-clicking and choosing what you'd like to do. Very simple, very straightforward. All right, so that's about right. I'm going to divide that up. All right, so once you have the screen kind of laid out as you think you'd like to see fit, there's a little hammer icon here within the application that's going to show us the toolbar. So the toolbar, what it does, or the toolbox, I should say, the toolbox allows us to place the components within the display. So I know for a fact that I want, in this top left-hand corner here, I'm going to put an image, which is going to end up being our corporate logo. So it's just as simple as dragging and dropping the component that you want into the cell that you've created. So beside the logo, I'm going to want to have the current date and time. Drag that into there. And then beside that, I'm going to put a text box. And it says static text, and I'll show you how we can edit those on the fly as well. So it's pretty cool. This next long window that I've created is going to be I'm going to put the ticker within there. and the ticker will just have scrolling data through it. And then this box over here, I'm going to place an agent group within that box. We'll put the customer care number 1 group within that window. This one in the middle, what I'm going to use that for is a sequencer. And so what the sequencer is it will rotate through different sets of data at a predetermined time. So I'll continue through the setup and I'll show you exactly how that works. And then this last final window, we're going to put a web page in there. So now that we've got components in each of the windows, each of the cells, there's still additional customization that needs to be done, but it's very, very simple, very, very easy. So for this image, for example, we're just going to right-click within the header, go to the properties, and this will allow me to browse to the image I want to place. So I know I want to put our logo in there. So we'll add the TASKE Technology logo to the display. The date and time, it's already displaying, but there are properties in there as well. You can change the format. So you can see from the drop-down, you have date and time, date only, or time only. So there's different choices. You can change the text color, the background color there as well. For the static text, go to the properties window. This is where you can actually type in something. So we'll put, so let's say today there's a staff meeting, 2 p.m. And again, pretty straightforward, just change the color, something like that. For the ticker, if you right-click in the header, the options you have is to change in the scrolling speed. I happen to like 2, so I'll make it 2. The agent group, click in that property box, and what's most important here is so you have you can choose for the agent states. So you can choose to show agents that are in unknown or logged out. I prefer to keep them off. It just saves you some real estate, so you're not looking at a bunch of unknowns or a bunch of logged out agents. It's only showing you the agents that are active logged in. The sequencer, again, much like the ticker, it has the interval duration. So as it sequences through the different components, you have the choice of different seconds, and you can just type in a other number as well outside of that. But I like 10 seconds. I think that's a good interval to have before flipping to the next set of data. We'll show you that once we get the data set up. Then we've got the web page. So again, we right-click, properties. This is where you actually just enter the web page address. We're going to put our new revamped web page up there for you today so you can see that. So if you haven't had a chance to see our website lately, it had a nice refresh recently and it looks really sharp. So we'll put that in there too. So that's placing the components and doing the main properties for them. There are also some configuration options that are global for the entire product. We can go hit those under Edit. So we'll go to Edit and then Colors. So here we get to choose what the color corresponds to each agent state for the agents. And you can decide if you want the background to change color or if you want the text to change color. I like to keep it as the defaults, and the default colors is I'm just used to those ones. So I don't actually ever change those, but you have the options. The next one is the display text. So here you can, if you've changed the name or want to shorten some of the names of the display text for agent states, view agent states, or call statistics, basically anything that's available, you can change the actual display name within here as well. The next one is the view options. So here's some general view options. You can change the date format, or the time format, I should say. So hours, minutes, seconds are just seconds. The resource font size, so for example, within this agent group, we have it set to dynamic, so it will change based on how many agents are logged in and active. And then we have alarms, and we have a warning color and a critical color, and we'll touch on the alarms a little later as well, but this is where you can set those colors for those alarms. Under the view options for agents, you have different data that you can show per agent. So what state they're in, what time, how long they've been in that state, and what the calling or called number is. There are other options as well. If you have agents that are in multiple queues, you want to see what queue they're taking a call for, or what extension they're on, or what reason state they're in. Just leave these as default. The other thing you want to check too is if you have it just set up for the agent name. you can have ID and nickname as well, but sometimes maybe the IDs don't really match or they're confusing, so the agent name seems to be the best. And the same with the Q tab, we'll just want to call it by name, just nice and easy. And then just the very, very last thing is the fonts. So by default, it's Arial. It's a nice looking font, but you have all these big long lists of fonts that you can have globally for the application as well. Very, very customizable. So those are the global settings. Now that we've gotten, our components in there, it's time to add the items to the ticker and to the sequencer. So the ticker, we're going to put customer care queue number 1, and we're just going to drop it right in the ticker. For the sequencer, we're going to add customer care queue number 1 and customer care number 2. And what will happen is every 10 seconds, it'll rotate through those two. And we can still take customization to a whole other level with these tickers as well in the sequencer. So right and click inside the actual queue information, hit the property box, and here you have the option to change the text color, change the background color, and then you have all of the different stats that are available for the queue and warning and critical alarms. So what I'd like to do is I'm just going to modify some of these statistics because maybe I just don't want to see them all. So for the ticker, I'm going to remove some of these that I don't necessarily want to see. I like to have calls waiting at the top so you can move them up and down. Very, very straightforward, very simple to use. A couple of these ones too. We'll have longest call waiting on here. That one. Calls offered here as well. Just take some of these so it's just not as crowded, but those are really good stats, but I'll add those ones to the sequencer one so you can see what they look like as well. So we have calls waiting, longest calls waiting, agents available, agents on ACD, agent calls offered, calls answered next, just my own personal preference, interflowed, requeued. That looks really nice. And then I talked a little bit earlier about where they had the critical and the warning alarms, so with the different colors, the yellow and the red. So let's say I wanted to put a warning alarm for calls waiting. So you have these options, or in the drop-down menu, you can also type in any other number you want. But let's say our warning for calls waiting is 5 and our critical is 2. I did that backwards. We want to have critical when there's more calls waiting, so 2 and then 5. And so that's pretty good for the ticker going across. So we'll have all that detail going across the ticker. And we can do this a much similar thing with the sequencer data for the queue. So right click and choose properties. And here what I'm going to do for this one is I'm actually going to change the background color so that you'll really be able to tell every 10 seconds when it flips from one queue to the other that you're looking at Q1 or Q2. And Q2 is the one I'm working on right now, and I've given it a bit of a darker background color. So we'll change some of the stats that are in this one as well. So agents available, agents on ACD. For this one, we're going to include the agents on outbound calls. I'd like to see that one, but put it near the top. And we'll go calls waiting, I think. Good one. Longest call waiting. We'll leave expected call wait time there this time. And we'll go back to calls offered. Oopsies, too high. Calls answered. Abandoned, interflowed. And then we'll leave the telephone service factor and answer factor on there as well. And this one, I think what we'll do is we'll want to have different, maybe we'll set some different longest call waitings. So this is customer care number 2. Let's say it's not as strict as our first one. So for a call waiting, let's say we'll put the warning alarm at 300 seconds, and then we'll give them like 420 for critical, and then we can have alarms that way. So this is what it's going to look like on the screen. And then we can do the exact same thing on this side. It's getting a little long-winded though, so but anyway, so it'll look something like that. So now that we've got all our stats and all our information in there, you can have a look and see what it'll look like by clicking the little magnifying glass. There's a preview. It's going to pop up a little window, and you can launch it, and it's going to look something like that. So you can see that there's 5 agents working in customer care key number 1, and you can see the sequencer flip back and forth. The time, everything looks pretty good. Everything's laid out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with this. So the preview window will close itself after a minute, or you can just close it on its own. You can see that there's got 30 seconds, 37 seconds left there. So, but anyway, that's what it'll look like on your big display. So I'm really happy with this. So once you're happy with it, just go to File. You want to save it, and we'll just give it a name within here, DC Demo. And I already have one called that, but yeah, sure, I'll replace it. And then when it's time to publish it and send it out to your display, all you have to do is click on Publish Layout, and the name's already in there. And there, it's been published. So I will launch right now the actual DisplayCentral app. So you can have a look at that. And here it is, and that's what it'll look like. So the only other thing that still need to touch on real quick is how we can change these messages on the fly, which is really neat as well. So I'll close this. Well, actually, I'll close it. So then we've got the display that's published, and let's say now I just want to change this, and let's say the staff meeting's over, and instead I want to write Happy Birthday Bob, exclamation point. We'll change that color to something a little more festive. And then as soon as I hit save, it gets pushed out to the DisplayCentral app. So let's launch that again one more time for you. And then we can see within the DisplayCentral it says Happy Birthday Bob already there. So if you want to make a quick little text message change throughout the day, it's very, very easy to get that done. So I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, nice and powerful, very, very simple to use. That's how the display will come across. Very, very customizable and very, very powerful for your agents. So I think at this time, we'll look and see if there's any questions that have come in. Give me a second. There are a few. Okay, oh yeah, quite a few questions. All right, so let's see. Okay, bear with me here as I'm trying to go through these questions. They're still coming in. So does DisplayCentral use one license per display? It does, although if you have one set of values that you're interested in, one template that you want to run at a time, and you want to run that template on different monitors, you can totally do that. You can run it off one PC and split the video feed to different monitors. That's totally fine. If you want to have different sets of data, different templates running, then you'll need a different license for that. Let's see. How do you get this from TASKE? So that's a good question. You can contact your reseller, or if you know your TASKE rep for your area, that would be another way to get in touch with us to do it. You can go through our website that we have up on the page, and you can contact us, and we can help you get it. One of the questions, if you wanted to make a change in another window, would you just, oh, I lost the question. It moved on me. That's weird. If you wanted to make a change in another window, would you just have to click and save it for it to show, or would you have to republish it? You should be able to just save it, and then it should republish it to yourself. So that should be no problem. It's just as simple as how I did the Happy Birthday Bob message. Is there a way to edit the background color on the agent group display? So yes, so you can change the stats or the states that they're in and change the background color that way. Or if you wanted to have the text color change as opposed to the actual backgrounds, then you can set it so the text, so their names will be changing color based on what state they're in, and then the backgrounds will be static. Apologize as I'm scrolling through these questions. One of them is, can you do alert that says how many calls are on hold in the queue? Holds are not part of it, unfortunately. We don't have it on hold. One of those, I have some licenses of theirs, but have never used it. How do I start? The best way to do that is just contact, probably even just contact the support department, support@task.com, and then we can help you get that set up. And I mean, that's most of the questions that would pertain that I can answer in this forum. If anybody has any else, just please go ahead and type them in. That's really good. I will be putting PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, a PDF file in the handout section. So just give me a quick second, and I'll put that in there right now. And go to handouts. And you should be able to see that. And what it is just the brochure for the product. And it's loading it now, and there. So in the handout section, you should be able to see that, and it's got more information about the product. I think at this time, I'd like to wrap it up. I really appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully I was able to show you with Chad the power and the functionality of the DisplayCentral app and what it can bring to your call center, providing your agents with a whole bunch of detail that they could use. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll wrap it up.